Hello, everybody, and welcome to On the Ice, brought to you by Pembina Source for Sports and Caisse Financial Group. On today's show, we're going to contact a good pal of ours from the Superior International Junior Hockey League, head coach and GM for his second year, whenever that year starts, we don't know, of the Red Lake Miners, Mr. Geoff Walker. He's residing from his hometown in PEI, where we catch up to him today. We're going to talk about how the season ended last year, how they were on the heels of the North Stars, finishing in second in the league, as well as this prolonged off-season, how he's been able to stay busy, how he's been able to work on his team, and more importantly, getting geared up and ready for the fall, return to action, hopefully in November for the SI. So please welcome on the ice, Mr. Geoff Walker. As promised, Geoff Walker, residing from PEI, the wonderful little island that we don't get to hear about, but there's a whole lot of potatoes in hockey. Head coach and GM of the second year of the Red Lake Miners. Geoff, how are we doing today?
I'm doing well, thanks. How about yourself?
Fabulous. It's great to have you on the show. Thanks for joining me. Real quick, Red Lake, how far is that from Kenora?
It's about 2.5, 3 hours, depending,
Okay.
How fast you drive and stuff. But it's not a bad drive at all.
It's a beautiful drive up there, northwestern Ontario. All those little towns are beautiful. I know I spent a lot of time in Vermilion Bay, Dryden, and through Red Lake, of course. Give us a bit of a history on the Red Lake Miners in the SI, if you can, Geoff.
Yeah, so I think it's the 7th or 8th year that they've been in operation, and I think the first few years were obviously building the team within the community and stuff like that. And the last few years we've done really well. Last year was my first year, but the support that we have in the community and the ownership and all that kind of stuff is top notch. There's a lot of support for a younger coach like myself that I need, and it was a very enjoyable first season for sure.
The Red Lake Miners finishing in second place last year, 3 points behind, but one game played higher than the North Stars. You guys were able to finish that season off 32-18, 3-2. Real quick, 69 points. Some people's favorite numbers. Geoff, how did you get involved with the Red Lake program? How did you first hear about it? Or were you always a part of the SI beforehand?
No, actually, I didn't really know much about the SI coming in. I knew Doug Lean, who's the coach in Wisconsin, and we had some previous dealings before about some other stuff, and he let me know that they were looking for a coach last offseason. And then I called Chris Pimblott and Jason Vanette, and obviously we went through that process and ended up coming down that I was going to be the guy and get the job, and super excited I did. Things went really well, like you said, last year. Would have just loved to see how it would have played out in the playoffs and all that stuff. But again, COVID is COVID and everyone's going through it. So, we just, thankful that no one got sick, and, they made the right decision all across Canada to shut it down. And, I know everyone's working hard to get it back up and running this year.
Geoff, tell me how impressive it was your first year having the support, not just on the ice, but of the town, about the product you're putting on the ice. I mean, your first year coach, you don't know what to really expect, and you roll through having a very successful year on the ice. How great is it to know that you had that on the ice and the community and supporting you around you?
Well, it was huge, right off the bat. I went up there, not really knowing what to expect, and just kind of packed the truck up, and, I'm used to that from my playing days, but it was huge. As soon as I got there, I could feel the support. I lived with Chris Pimblott until my place was ready, and Jason, the president, and Warren Baduke, who's kind of the community liaison guy. They were there every step of the way with me, and it really made everything a lot easier. And I could kind of just focus on what we needed to be doing on the ice, which was a huge benefit to us. And we had some really good players last year, and it really couldn't have went better other than the fact that we didn't get to play the playoffs. And, I really liked our chances last year.
How much did it feel like another training camp for you, but as a coach instead of a player last year?
Yeah, I mean, the dynamic of a coach is so much different. You know, it's you take every win, you take every loss. It's you know, you just kind of got to, when you're a player, you know, you're kind of worried about how you played. Obviously you want to win, but as a coach, it really comes down to wins and losses, and you know, you really take that stuff to heart. So it was a really good learning experience. I feel like I got better as a coach, and obviously there's still things I need to work on, but you know, as a whole, like you said, our record was really good, our team was good, and you know, when you first get up to Red Lake, it's a bit of a culture shock. You know, it's a smaller place, but you really feel the support and the love from the community, and you know, I really didn't want to leave when it was over.
You're back home in PEI. How good is it to tell the stories with the old boys and the fam back home on how great Red Lake is as a place to coach?
Yeah, no, you know, obviously people see it on the map and are kind of wondering, you know, where is this place? How is it up there? And like I said, it's a bit of a culture shock, but once you kind of get into the community and you see the people and, you know, how much they care about the miners and how much the miners actually give back to the community there was something that was very eye-opening to me. It was, you know, they do so much, and, you know, we wouldn't be able to have a team without their support in the community. So we try and get out and do as much as we can for sure.
This off season for you, Geoff, has been, I don't want to say interesting, different, fluid, all the above.
Yeah,
A little bit longer. Let's say that for starters, because I mean, we really didn't have a playoffs. We didn't have a chance to get into further playoffs and championship weekends in late April. So you really had about 6 or 7 weeks added on to the off season. How have you been able to handle what needed to get done, but at the same time still maintain the fact that, you know, we have a team to build, we have a reputation to keep, and how are you able to maintain that through such a long off season?
Yeah, it's tough, right? It's kind of the same as in life right now for everyone. You just kind of take things as they come right now. You know, you just kind of, you know, you have goals. You know, we have goals, and you know, our staff has put together some goals that we obviously like to do this season. But you know, with the COVID and all this fluidness on what's going on, it's been tough, right? But you just kind of got to take it, roll with it, and do your best to build a championship team, and that's what, you know, our recruitment has gone well, and we're really looking forward to get this thing going when it does. That's for sure.
You bring up recruitment. Before we get to that, let's talk about some of the returning players that you have potentially coming back. You had a rookie on a line with a couple of 99s that led the team in points.
Yeah.
Mr. Ryan Howe.
Yeah.
Is Ryan coming back this year to lead the crew?
Yes, he is, and he will be doing just that. I mean, that kid's a special kid, man. Like I said, I've been around a long time, and you know, the way that he handles himself, the way that he prepares, the way that he works in practice is, you know, it's on a pro level, right? And that's what we strive for everyone to do, but you know, he kind of just does it without even being asked. He's one of those kids who's, you know, he's a self-motivator for sure. He's got tremendous skill. I mean, you know, the skill that he has is off the charts. And for us to be able to lock down, you know, the reigning rookie of the year, and, you know, in my opinion, depending on what other teams do, of course, you know, will be definitely a top player, if not the top player in the league. So, you know, that was number one on our list. Fortunate enough to get that done, and bringing back a lot of other good players as well.
His line mates are aging out, I believe. They're both 99s.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how many returning players, Geoff, have we got on the roster right now?
I think we're right around 11, 12. Obviously, there's some decisions to make with some 2000s that will be coming to camp, and they'll be battling it out. And, you know, that's kind of the way that we like it. And, you know, there's some new players that have yet to be announced. We're just kind of waiting to see what happens with all this stuff. But, yeah, I really like the situation that we're in. And obviously, you know, losing a goaltender like Zach Wilms, you know, that's 1A to Howe, or 1B, however you want to put it.
Yeah.
That kid was special. So we need to, you know, not that we will find another one of him, but we're definitely on the hunt for sure.
You beat me to the punch there, Zach. He was your stalwart, your A1. Played literally 85% of the game. Played a lot of the games.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
No,
he was your guy.
Yeah, and he was a workhorse. You know, he once said to me this year, "The players play every game, so why can't I?" And it was just the type of situation where he wanted the ball and he was pissed if he didn't have it. So, obviously my job is to, give him the rest where we see fit. But yeah, we rode him, and he's a workhorse, and obviously he had some personal days whenever he needed it in practice and stuff like that to stay sharp. And our goalie coach D Forsyth did a tremendous job with him from where he was 2 years ago to where he is now. Just talked to him the other day. He's down NCAA Division III at Fredonia. So yeah, we're going to do our best to fill that spot, but it's a massive hole, that's for sure.
No doubt. We talked a bit about the forwards. We talked about the goaltending. How does the defense look coming back?
Yeah, so as of right now, we look like we're going to have 3 20-year-olds on D, and we got some other kids signed as well. I think right now we have a real surplus on D. I think we're looking to add some more offense, but as of right now, obviously we'll have to see how everyone fits when they get there. But we're comfortable with our D right now with those 3 20-year-old returning guys leading the way. Guys like Sean Gula, who's been there for a long time, and Hunter Halcrow, Jace Pitawanakwak, guys like that will really shoulder the load and help some of our younger good D that we have coming in.
We've touched on all the positions. We're going to touch on the recruiting aspect of things when we come back, Geoff. So just stick with us. We'll be right back on the ice.
At Super 8 Winnipeg West, we have your comfort in mind with free Wi-Fi and free daily Superstart breakfast. We also have guest laundry facilities, a state-of-the-art fitness center, and a jetted hot tub. Sleep well in a spacious guest room equipped with plush new bedding, a 50-inch flat-screen HD TV, microwave, mini refrigerator, and Keurig coffee maker. Or book a suite with a kitchen, ideal for extended stays. Super 8 Winnipeg West, located just inside the perimeter on Portage Avenue.
Back with Geoff Walker, head coach, general manager of the Red Lake Miners. It's not uncommon to see a head coach have both positions held in the front office. Is it something that, I guess, the hat is worn by the same person because they're kind of wearing them simultaneously, or is it just because it's easier to handle the operations of a general manager as well as coach the team? Yeah,
so, from my experience in the 2 years that I coached, I was both. And, honestly, there's more that goes into the GM side of it. And, our director of player personnel, Chris Pimblott, he's been around for a long time, and he really, helped and supported me. And, he's been there for a long time. So he knew kind of how to do those certain things that I didn't know how to do on the GM side of it. And, he's a huge part of what we do. He's kind of an unsung hero. He kind of does a little bit of everything. And as far as the GM side of it, he really helps and supports me in any way that he can. And, it really ran very smoothly last season.
You've mentioned Pimmer about 4 or 5 times.
Yeah.
He's like your big brother kind of with Red Lake.
Yeah, he is. He's worked in the Western League for years. Older guy, but he's sharp. He knows his stuff, and I don't know, where I would be without him last year. Just he's kind of the calm, steady hand that guides the whole thing. So he really helped me, and we're looking forward to having that same type of relationship. We do everything together. We make decisions together, and it seems to work out. So hopefully we'll continue that for sure.
He's got the tablet with the commandments in one hand, the hockey stick in the other, and the brains to keep everything calm and at ease.
Absolutely.
how has it been with the two of you working towards the recruitment of your upcoming season? I mean, I talked to a lot of coaches, and I remind them, remember the first day you recruited a player and the cold barn you sat in for an hour and a half and talking to the player afterwards? Gone are those days, and we welcome in video conferencing and the technology and the amounts of videos on certain social media pages. Geoff, how has the job become easier or harder, do you think, looking to recruit a player that has that balance on and off the ice?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, I think it's a little tougher that, us or our scouts can't really go see kids at showcase and meet with them and stuff. But, for what I like to do, I like to, if they're on hockey TV or any type of video that I can get, I'll go watch, and then I'll talk to them on the phone pretty extensively. And I like to talk to the parents as well, to kind of get a feel for how they are, and then they can kind of get a feel for how we are and how we do things. Because I know the parents are a big part in these young men's life, and I know mine were as well. And I really like to talk to them as well and get a feel on where they're at, any questions that they might have. I always tell players, ask as many questions as you can, because that's kind of how we get through these processes. And it's worked out well. You got to try and develop these relationships with not only the player but the family as well, and make them feel comfortable about sending their kid off at a young age, that they'll be in good hands, and that we'll take good care of them.
You mentioned the parents aspect of things. When do you know a player is or isn't ready to fly the coop?
Yeah, I guess I think it's a little bit different for every player, but at some point, you'll see a little red flag on a few questions that are asked here and there from the parents and stuff. And obviously younger kids are different, and it just you kind of just go by feel. And like I said, every player is different, and you just kind of try and read every player and every family, and not be too pushy, right? Like I want these kids and their families to feel like this is the spot for them. I don't want to be pushing or trying to sell too much on that. Like, I know we have a good program. I know it's rock solid in Red Lake, and getting that point across without coming across as pushy or anything like that is something that I try to do.
No doubt. It's a difficult line you don't want to straddle the line, but you want to know where that line is, right, Geoff? Because if you push too hard, you may lose them forever. But if you don't push hard enough, then they may not see the importance of the Red Lake hockey program.
Exactly. I mean, I couldn't have put it any better. I mean, you got to sell your program, sell yourself, and then at a certain point, the decision comes down to them, right? And no, I couldn't agree more. You got to walk that line and really try not to cross over it.
Not to take any heat away from Johnny Cash and walking that line. Your second year as a coach, Geoff, how would you describe last year's team, and how do you preview how your team this year is going to play?
Yeah, so last year I think was a pretty veteran-heavy team. We had guys back from the year before that were, they went to the finals the year before. They've been there. They know the league. They, with the leadership that we had, it made my job easier. Obviously these kids are young kids. They're still going to go through stuff, and, you kind of got to step in when you need to step in, obviously. But I feel like this year's team is going to be a little bit younger. Obviously we have those guys coming back, and they know how we want to do things. And, for me, when I played, I didn't like a coach who would say something to me just to see how I was going to react, or, play those mind games that some coaches, coaches everywhere do. I try and stay away from that. I think these kids have enough going on. So good or bad, these kids are going to know exactly how I feel at all times. And obviously my door is always open. And, the guys that are coming back this year are going to be, they know how we do things. They know what's expected. It's nothing crazy, but there's a way that we got to act, and there's a way that we got to practice and perform and get ready for games. And it's nothing crazy, but that's what we expect. And those guys know, and hopefully they'll be able to show the new guys, how it goes in Red Lake.
Geoff, I got to ask you this question. I ask this question to all head coaches and GMs in junior hockey. There's always a turnaround. There's always a compete level that has to be met or increased year in and year out. With the turnaround and the aging out of players, how then do you recycle that attitude and that buy-in to your team so that you're still competitive year in and year out?
Yeah, I think again, it's a lot to do with the players that are coming back who know what success was like last year, and they know what it takes, to practice every day to get better. And if you don't at this level, you're going to get left behind. So a lot of that is on them, but a lot of that is on me. So there's no gray area on on how we're getting ready to play games and how well prepared we are. That's 100% on me. And, those players, they know, but at the end of the day, that's my job to make sure that our level is high, right from training camp, right through preseason and into the season. And, last year, I think we started off 6-0. So, we're going to do a lot of the same things that we did in camp and in our preparation this year as well. But obviously it's a new season, it's a new group, and we're going to have to adapt to those things along the way.
You can't take all the blame though, Geoff. I mean, you're just the head coach. I mean, you wore the skates back in the day.
Yeah.
I wore the skates back in the day.
Yeah.
I can't take full responsibility for all the actions and reactions and the blames, both good and bad. So how do you keep your crew, your boys, accountable to themselves and making sure that they are part of buying into that team? Not just the veterans, but the rookies have to acknowledge that immediately too.
Yes, exactly. And I think the rookies will see that from, the way that I or our staff treat everyone the same. That's something that I, learned as a player is, we're going to, come down or not come down hard on the same guys for the same things, and everyone's on the same page. So there's obviously the older guys, they know, and we know them a little bit more, and that kind of goes without saying, but we really try and make sure that everyone's on the same page. And, if they see an older guy getting away with something that they might not get away with, or they might think they can get away with, then that's not where we want to be. So we want to have everyone on the same page and kind of go about it like that.
Let's quickly talk about the return to play and the guidelines for your players upcoming. No one was from the States last year, I believe, on the team. So it's all Canadians. Do you have a certain process you're going to go through before training camp to make sure everyone's in a quote-unquote bubble style and making sure they're ready to play when we do in November?
Yeah, so that's a question. Obviously, we traded for one American at Christmas last year. William Walsh was his name. So this year, it's kind of a gray area right now with, are Americans going to get in or are they not? I know out west right now they are getting in, or some have gotten in. So we're kind of going through that process of, okay, if they can get in and they're going to have to quarantine for 14 days, what can we do to assist that? We're going to try and have a place where they can quarantine for 14 days. And, we have what we think is some high-end talent from the States this year. So we're going to do everything that we can to get them in, but obviously get them in safely and put our billets' minds at ease that these kids, whether they need to, go take a test, which they will be doing, or, quarantining and, following all the guidelines that Ontario Health Care has set, will be something new for us all, but we just want to make sure that we don't cut any corners on that. We want to make sure we're above board with all that we're doing that way, and to make sure that it's, first and foremost safe, and then to have them, get into our program and stuff like that.
Geoff, you spent 1 year in Red Lake. When you first came in, you said it was a bit of a shock getting used to it with the community. For someone that's never been to Red Lake or is new to the team, what is that one quintessential thing in Red Lake, Ontario that you need to experience and love to experience day in and day out once you become familiar with the town?
Yeah, I think it's just the outdoors. I mean, you got to get outdoors. It's a beautiful, beautiful place with all the lakes. And then, if you're an outdoorsy person with fishing or ice fishing or hunting, or there's an abundance of all that stuff. And, just get outside, enjoy it, enjoy what Red Lake has to offer, because, it's absolutely beautiful up there. And, that would be the number one thing that I would say. Just get out, enjoy it, take it all in. And, every player that we had, just quickly last year at Christmas, when all the boys came back, I could see it. I could feel it. They were all so pumped to be back. They were pumped to be back together. And it was literally something that you could feel. And then after Christmas, I think we went 15-3 or, some sort of crazy run. But it all started with, them being happy to be back in Red Lake after Christmas, which is something that you don't always see, for sure.
The passion for the game, the excitement for the game, it certainly starts at the top. Head coach GM Geoff Walker, is there anything you'd like to tell the community of Red Lake on what to expect from the boys this season when this season finally begins?
Yeah, I would just like to say to them, we really appreciate your support. We couldn't do this without you guys, and just expect more of the same. We're looking to come in and do exactly what we did last year, and hopefully more. And Red Lake has never won in that league, and that's something that I very badly want to bring back to Red Lake, because that community definitely deserves it, and that's the goal for sure.
Well, I hope to attain that goal this year sooner than later. Geoff, thank you very much for joining me today. Really appreciate the time. I do hope to get up to Red Lake sooner than later myself to come experience some of the action of the minors. Thank you very much. Anything you want to say hi to before we say goodbye?
No, I'm okay. I just want to thank you for, doing this and getting some exposure out for our league and our teams. And, I think it's an awesome thing that you're doing here, and we really appreciate it.
I appreciate the words. Thanks so much. Geoff Walker, the head coach GM of the Red Lake Miners. Look forward to hopefully starting this season on that November start date. As always, check out for more information on the SIJHL website, as well as Red Lake Miners. They have their website up with all the current information. Thanks for joining me. Make sure you check out Coffee with Graham Tuesdays and Thursday mornings, 10:30 in the morning, and the boys nightly at 9 o'clock for their constant banter of all professional sports here on Amateur Sports TV. This has been On the Ice. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye-bye.